goodness. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for joining me this evening to celebrate the launch of my memoir, The Inside Hustle, and my transformational business. Now, give me a show of hands who has actually read The Inside Hustle already here tonight. Woo! I love it. And okay, now shout out a yes if you enjoyed it and would recommend it. Woo! Amazing. That could have gone horribly wrong. I'm so stoked about that. I'm really, really glad everyone has been enjoying this book. I put a lot into it, as you can tell. And it's just amazing to finally be here. This has been such a long time coming, honestly. I started this book back at the end of 2013. So although I wasn't working on the book for 7 years full time, it's certainly been long enough. Over the last few years, it literally seemed like I was delayed at every turn, whether it was me procrastinating my writing, or my negotiating with my editor, or the problems with the proofreading. I mean, everything just took so much longer than I anticipated. However, it almost just seemed to have a life of its own, and I literally just had to surrender. There was nothing I could do, and just roll with it. And then, even though I felt like I was running so late, suddenly COVID happened, and it was miraculously ready to go. But I realized that this is the absolute perfect timing for this book. A time when people are trapped at home, reevaluating everything they've ever known, and more open than usual to new perspectives. I had to acknowledge that this timing, not the one I had in mind, was far more powerful. Have you ever wondered if there was more to life than the daily grind? Have you ever felt stuck in a rut and not sure how to get out? Or have you ever felt a sort of sense of slight dissatisfaction with your life and can't put your finger on exactly why? Well, if you answered yes to any or all of these questions, you're not alone. The Inside Hustle was born from these questions and written to inspire and encourage others to navigate their own personal journey of exploration outside of what they believe themselves to be. This evening, I intend for everyone to leave here not only feeling inspired, but open to looking at life with a new lens. If I can ignite an ounce of courage to step outside of the current version of who you have been, to venture into the unknown and expand into more of the magnificence of who you truly are, even better. Not just for yourself, but for all of us. Those questions were what I was marinating around 15 years ago as I was climbing the corporate ladder in my high-flying career on Madison Avenue in New York City. I was jet-setting around the world, creating award-winning campaigns for some of the world's most famous brands. I was shooting with celebrities, the hottest directors, and burning the candle at both ends in an exciting, glamorous, and challenging career. It would have been easy for me to keep going. It would have been easy to get more promotions, to get more money, to further develop my skills and expertise. Yet despite feeling accomplished, I just couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't what it was about at all. There must be more to life than this. What was I missing? Why was I here? Who am I really? What I really wanted was to feel like I was living my life to its fullest, bringing my unique skills into service with passion, alignment, and integrity. Can anyone relate? I had just read famous actress Shirley MacLaine's life-changing journey of walking across the north of Spain in her book, The Camino. She talked about this pilgrimage as a journey of the soul that was not only ancient, but enchanted. Shirley experienced liberating visions and revelations going right back to the universe itself. So, on yet another occasion, as I was working in the office after midnight, I started joking to my boss that I was going to run off and become a dirty pilgrim. I wasn't at all serious. In fact, I was quite the opposite. At that point, I was a self-confessed lush. I loved late-night debauchery and all-day drinking marathons and ending up in illegal after-hours bars where the creatures of the night were parading around in fetish and drag as piles of money sat on poker tables and young models were doing lines off the DJ booth. Although, on a parallel path, I was attending courses on power animals and the raw food movement and tantra from my spiritual closet. It was essentially my double life. Hello, mystical misfit. I had never been to Spain, was hardly what you would call an outdoorsy type. And the only backpacking I had done was around Southeast Asia, where said backpack was ferried between islands and full moon parties. Although a pilgrimage seemed utterly ridiculous, I was captivated by the potential to answer my deeper questions about myself and my place in this universe. And so, before I knew it, my jokes turned into declaration, and I quit my career and life in New York City to chase another kind of dream. My foray into pilgrim life seemed to backfire at every turn. Shock. The feedback from my comedy of errors, Camino stories, shared with friends and family, however, was so encouraging that it became not only the catalyst for me to share it with a broader audience, but also to find more of these experiences to write about. So some of these became the inside hustle, which is ultimately my hero's journey. And in case you're wondering why it's called the inside hustle, it's because it is, in fact, my journey back to self, to my core truths, and the wisdom buried beneath the facade. This personal journey of evolution took me to extraordinary heights, and to more challenge than I have ever known, and to some of the craziest and most wild experiences that will push boundaries and perspectives of everyone who reads it. My book, as you can already tell, is rather unconventional. It's more sex, drugs, and spirituality than a rigorous and disciplined meditation schedule in a stinky ashram. And well, spirituality is kind of a dirty word these days. I mean, it's either confused with being religious or cultish or hippy-dippy love and light with no substance. What do you think when you hear the word spirituality? Well, when I speak about spirituality, for me it's just the study of the deeper meaning and purpose of the layers of life itself and how I interact with it. Throughout this book and during my life, I have explored this to the extremes, just like everything else. And I did it in order to come to my own conclusions. So some of the experiences in the book are pretty out there, like the octogenarian Argentine shaman who communes with spaceships 3 times a week and charges his TV remote on a crystal. They may be crazy, but they were legit true. But in a way, I wanted to confront people's very fixed ideas of reality. Just because we can't explain it with our current understanding doesn't mean it should be dismissed. And let's be honest, reality isn't quite the solid, stable structure we might believe it to be. Famous Austrian theoretical physicist Erwin Schrödinger described it as, what we observe as material bodies and forces are nothing but shapes and variations in the structure of space. Particles are just Schaumkammer, or appearances. I mean, it's pretty obvious that there is an invisible substance, a sort of intelligence or energy that runs through everything. You only need to take one look outside at nature, of which we are a part, to see that. It seems we are a force field of energy that is interacting with particles of light to experience a sort of holographic projected reality. So doesn't it make sense then that we are all connected energetically? Well, this is why we need to take radical responsibility for how we are showing up in the world. We're at a critical point on the planet right now. I think everyone's pretty aware. You know, society can't continue the status quo. inequality, political unrest, climate change, depression, suicide. I mean, the list goes on. And COVID is just one of many wake-up calls that we have been receiving, this time on a systemic global level. However, I do believe that there is perfect order in the chaos, and that absolutely everything in life is set up for evolution. This catalyst is asking us to reevaluate our priorities and freedom. Not only that, but to deep dive into our psyche, to see how much we really rely on these structures and attachments outside of ourselves that we've been conditioned into as a society. All of it is asking us to reconsider the way we wish to live. Yes, it can be uncomfortable, but it is necessary if we want to experience a different kind of world. So what does that mean for you personally? You just thought you were here for the celebration of free canapes and cocktails. Well, I feel especially at this current time, it is critical for us to connect with ourselves on a deeper level and embody the change we wish to see in the world. It requires us going beneath the layers to what is truly important, moving into right relationship with ourselves, and using our skills and talents to their full potential. You are the hero of your own story. No one is coming to save you, and you matter. So, does this mean I've suddenly become all angelic and puritanical? Hell no. Not only is that impossible, and probably rather dull, but it's kind of old school and outdated. None of this means denying the pleasures of life itself, of which I'm still a huge fan. And I'm definitely looking forward to a delicious cocktail after this. But this is about being consciously human. Everyone has a responsibility for how they're using their consciousness, their energy, and what they are embodying in this world. Are you contributing more fear, more anger and upset? Or are you upholding a loving and compassionate state of being no matter what? We each have a role to play, to look into the depths of ourselves, to make changes, to shift perspective, and ultimately to let go of the old to bring in the new. And before we can transform society, we must transform ourselves. So the only way that humanity can evolve is together. So I wrote this book, and I coach others to succeed in self-realisation, transformation, and change. I guide clients deep beneath the layers to come into relationship with themselves and to step into more of who they truly are. And the feedback from the Inside Hustle so far is that readers of varying beliefs, understanding, and diverse backgrounds are really enjoying this book. Not only that, but they're reevaluating their life, their relationship to themselves, and experiencing significant shifts after reading it. Those who aren't even into spirituality actually love it too, because it's a personal journey and it's real and relatable, which is exactly what I intended for this book. So this is my first step in my vision to living my highest potential, the way I believe we can create significant change, by digging beneath the exterior and igniting our untapped power within. So if you're interested in expanding beyond what you currently are or evolving out of who you have been, I offer coaching and online courses and retreats. So you can find out more about me on my website or come and chat to me this evening if you're interested in any of that. Because I truly believe that this is our time. This is a time when we all need to step up in more ways than one, not only for the benefit of our own personal evolution, but for the good of us all. So I'd just like to leave you with this passage from the Inside Hustle before we deep dive into a Q&A. There is never going to be an ending or a getting it or a finding the answer once and for all in this crazy experience called life. Your relationship with yourself governs every other relationship, and we must align our own energy first. Our possibilities are in fact infinite, and at every moment we have a choice, the choose to expand or contract in whatever way we wish. The journey of consciousness isn't complicated, it's simple and straightforward. It's all there, the genius, the mastery, waiting for us to claim it, to remember ourselves in our sovereignty and trust the magnificent, powerful light being that we are. This will open the door to advanced consciousness, to the new humanity, and living our greatest potential. Thank you.
All right.